All right, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, Overwatch enthusiasts, welcome back. Oh boy, do I have another special treat for you. I work so hard to try and do these things, and today, I'd like to toot my own horn a little and say I outdid myself. I've not only managed to get, yet again for another gracious interview, the Geoff Kaplan.
Kaplan.
Geoff Kaplan. But I've also managed, who also recently left the Overwatch team, as well as similar to Geoff Kaplan, Geoff Goodman.
Hello. You can call me Mr. Goodman.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. It's an honor having you and Geoff Kaplan together in the same room. I'm honestly surprised that I'm honestly surprised that both the Jeffs, the legendary Jeffs from the Overwatch team, left. Would you mind speaking on that, Geoff Goodman? Why did you end up leaving the Overwatch team? Before we get into the news for today.
Well, I feel like working for Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, in general, it to create these characters, just to create one character, creates a lot of controversy.
Ooh,
and I don't agree with how limiting. I don't agree with how limiting they make it. In general, I believe that I can explore my abilities with other companies.
I see. Now, would you mind? Are you under NDA, or would you mind telling us how restrictive was Overwatch team on you? Is there anything like a little insider information you could give us on something you wanted to maybe do with one of the heroes that was, they restricted it and it didn't get let through, but you wanted to do anyway, or is there something like that you might be able to tell us?
Well, one of the main things that I wanted to do was give Soldier 76 cooler skins.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of, just changing the color of his, shirt and pants that and relaunching it for every season, I actually wanted to give him like a nice helmet, like a nice
Oh.
soldier's or like a nice jumpsuit
Oh my goodness.
or armor.
So you tried to do this and they shut you down, Mr. Goodman?
You know what they said? They said it would cause trouble within the community if we give Soldier too much.
Oh my god. I'm almost positive. I know you won't be able to say this, but I, as a small streamer and content creator, definitely can. I think it definitely has to do with Soldier being white. But moving on. Today we have three pieces of news to go through that we will interview Geoff Kaplan and Geoff Goodman with. The first of which is that Overwatch 2 will now require a phone number to play, even if you've played the original. So let's start here with Geoff Kaplan. Mr. Kaplan, what do you think of this new news that the Overwatch team has decided to implement in your absence?
I didn't get a phone until like 2 years ago.
Oh my.
I
You're a pretty old guy, Mr. Kaplan.
Yeah, I didn't need to text the bitches. They came over to my house.
Uh-huh.
But regardless, and also you're a bitch too.
Oh, damn. I apologize for that, Mr. Kaplan.
This is really good because...
Oh my God, here we go again with this nonsense.
Mr. Goodman, do you have something to say?
Kaplan is always insulting people like this.
Oh, so this isn't new.
No.
Oh.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway.
I don't for you anymore. You're a bitch.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, I guess leaving, really, really put your fucking balls out of a purse, you dumb bitch.
Oh
anyway,
my.
Yeah, because your money isn't going into my pocket with your shitty ideas.
Man,
oh
no money's going anywhere in
goodness.
your fucking pocket. Nobody's gonna hire your ugly ass. Anyway.
Okay, Jeffs, let's calm down. I realize maybe there's some leftover
fuck you
resentment. I apologize, Mr. Kaplan, but I realize there's might be some leftover resentment from the office, but let's try and keep that out of the interview.
He was the one limiting me.
Mr. Kaplan.
I'm a better Geoff than this kid would ever be.
You never played a game in your life.
Yo, you're not a good man. You're a shitty man.
Okay, Mr. Kaplan, what do you think of the phone? You said you got a phone 2 years ago.
Yeah,
What?
I
Okay.
think this is good because it could stop the little smurfing issue that we have. We have a
Oh,
big smurfing issue.
Mr. Goodman, would you like to comment on that?
I I just want to clarify this. I don't condone. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do with their kids. But growing up to games, it doesn't matter how old you were. You could be playing the most gruesome games at the age of 10, and that's what created enjoyment for a lot of people. Because I personally I played like Gears of War when I was like 12,
Wow, that's
and
crazy, Geoff Goodman.
and I didn't even have a cell phone at the time.
I see. So, do you think that having a cell phone to play Overwatch 2 is a bad idea from the Overwatch team, the one that, you're no longer employed for?
I do, yes.
And do you think it's because it's going to limit some people, namely either some poor fucks who can't afford a phone or children, to not play the game?
I think that this game isn't dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we spent a lot of time reusing and reskinning in Overwatch 1 before we came out with this game. There is a big chance that this game could die if it's bad.
I see. Now, I just want to point out for the fans out there, Geoff Goodman did leave after Geoff Kaplan, so there's a little bit of a Geoff Goodman might know a little bit more because he stayed longer on the boat. But personally, what I think this is a good idea. Like Mr. Kaplan said, I think that linking it to a phone will overall stop the Smurfers. It won't stop them, but it'll make it a lot harder. And you're not going to completely eliminate the problem ever, but you want to make it as hard as possible for these degenerates to not be able to do what they're doing. And one of the best ways to do it is with the cell phone. Because, one cell phone, one account, you use the cell phone, you can't use it again, that's it. And I don't think a lot of people, there might be some, but I don't think a lot of people will buy a whole brand ass new cell phone to make a new account in Overwatch 2 personally. So, under the guise of it's trying to stop smurfing, that's pretty good.
Well, I'll ask you this: do you think that only a cell phone can provide a phone number?
Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure you don't have to just provide a phone number. It has to be a phone number that can receive texts, and you need to maybe confirm something.
Yeah. You can make a Google phone number receive text on it.
That I did not know, and I'm pretty sure if I didn't know it, probably the general population didn't know it either. Again, there's obvious workarounds, but I think it's a step in the right direction because you want to make it as hard as possible while still not making it disruptive for regular people who aren't abusing the system. I think it's okay. I think obviously there's faults with it. But anyway, Geoff Kaplan, do you have any lasting thoughts on this as well, or?
I mean, all I know is that it's just gonna make people's lives harder to smurf, and if they really want to smurf, that just shows that they want to play the fucking game, and we can't stop them at that point.
It is a free to play game now.
Yep, and we all know like with free to play comes a lot of fucking issues.
Bad actors. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So we'll leave it like that.
So overall, Geoff Kaplan, you're with me where you think it's a good thing. Geoff Goodman, you're more against it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to get.
I'll also say this. I mean, I have some experience with Overwatch, but in general, I personally enjoy Smurfers.
Oh.
And I say this
is surprising.
If I'm in say I'm in gold,
yes,
and I'm trying to move up to platinum,
yes,
and I somehow get a master's rank player, he may be squashing my team, but maybe he's not because I have my stack team. So why is he beating us? Number one, number two, he's in Masters for a reason. So he probably has things that I can learn from him by fighting him. Which is how I always think about it whenever I meet somebody who's obviously overly strong for the rank that he's in.
I see. You take it as a learning experience, Mr. Goodman.
Yeah, because I'm like, what are the chances that you're going to run into like 3 Smurfers in a row?
Well, I think
it happens once. It happens once. It happens once, and then maybe it'll happen again in the rest of the night, but it doesn't happen that often.
Geoff Kaplan, any thoughts?
I think it goes back into personal beliefs. Some people aren't competitive, some people are, and I think Goodman, even though I would argue about his, physically, he's something else. But
what would he be, Mr. Kaplan?
So we're not gonna get into that.
Okay, that was a little open-ended there. I kind of was confused.
I'm the attractive Geoff, is what I'm saying.
Right? Okay.
But
you're also the biggest bitch.
Okay, so moving on to the next piece of news that has come out with Overwatch 2. It turns out that new Overwatch 2 players who have not played Overwatch 1, transferring into Overwatch 2, will need 100 matches to unlock original characters. And even though it doesn't say it here, it also is included with this that at the beginning you will need to also unlock different game modes and even access to chat by playing the game. So on the rip, you have very little and you will unlock it over time. Eventually, after 100 matches, you will have everything an Overwatch 1 player had. So, opinions, we'll start this time with Mr. Goodman. Mr. Goodman, what do you think of this?
So, this I don't particularly have an issue with. I think this is an interesting thing to do. Mm-hmm. I personally think other games should do this.
Okay. When you say other games, do you mean in particular free-to-play games or just other games in general?
The 2, the 3, anything like that. Like they should move. They should give you benefits for being a player.
I'm sorry. I think you cut out on the first part. Did you say all free-to-play games or all games in general?
All games in general. Well, games that have an aspect where they move on to the next generation of games, like Halo 1 to Halo 2.
Mm-hmm. So you think they should just continue it with like the old players, and then new players won't have as much as the old players?
Yeah, they have to experience it. They have to unlock it. That's how you get immersed into a game. You unlock stuff. You feel happy. You like what you see. You use what you unlock. You get into the game.
Yes. Well, I would definitely agree, Mr. Goodman. I actually believe, on a personal anecdote here, that that's kind of one of the failings in my eyes of one of the best games to ever come out, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Great game, but the problem is they give you everything from the beginning, which you could see as a blessing or as a curse, because then there's nothing to work towards. So, moving on now to Mr. Kaplan. Mr. Kaplan, what do you think of this?
I like it.
You like it too? Okay.
Yeah. Like, it's not forcing it.
It's a big fucking surprise. Oh my god.
I think, you should take notes, moderator. I don't think you're that good at your job, but you have to realize.
Well, I'm actually sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Kaplan, but I'm actually an interviewer. I'm not a moderator.
Well, you need to learn to do fucking both. Anyways,
I apologize, Mr. Kaplan.
Goodman should be cut off, man, because that's all he does is cut people off. Anyways, it's a pretty good thing, it's not forcing it onto new players, which I think is not new players, sorry, old players. Therefore, the old players don't feel like they're wasting their time.
Yeah, I do believe that would have been a big issue if that was included.
Yeah. And the new players get to feel like they're earning something. And, they have something to work towards. And hopefully, while they're working towards it, they can get immersed into, the gameplay. So I think this adds like an extra layer to it, and I think it's good.
Okay. I pretty much agree with both the Jeffs here. I think this is a really good way to smooth people into it. Not that Overwatch is a particularly complicated game or it's going to be hard, but it's always good not to overwhelm people. Over 100 matches to unlock all the original characters might seem like a lot. I don't think it is because you could win or lose them, whereas for ranked you have to win 50, so I think that's also good. Um, Overall, I think this is fine. Just ease new players in and give them stuff over time because it's still free. You don't need to pay for it, which is the good part, and you're just gonna get it. Just play a little bit, make sure you know your things before you start ruining people's games on some particularly hard characters like Genji. So, the next piece of news that we have here today for these two giants in the industry, possibly the most controversial that the Overwatch team has decided to do now, and that is the fact that they will now be recording voice chat and having a AI transcribe it so they can read it and kind of figure out if anything bad is being said for moderation purposes. So this time we'll start again with Mr. Kaplan. I also want to add in the ulterior question here. Of, were any of you responsible for this? And if you were, what's the reasoning behind it? So we'll start with Mr. Kaplan. What do you think of this? Did you have a hand in making this? And what's going on with it?
No. I didn't know they were adding this in.
So it was before your time. It was after you left.
It definitely was before my time. This is around the time where your channel
was after
dead.
your time. I apologize.
It's still dead. It's still dead.
Oh, damn.
But I think that I can see why they would want this. However, out of context, a lot of people's conversations could sound worse on paper than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I question, can I, if I call someone trash, will that, cause them to look at that and be like, I'm harassing and I'm bullying, like the gaming trash talk, I'm afraid of that. And, to not get into too political here and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's certain words that, among a certain group people say, and which I'm not saying that, they can't say it, but that's just, their word.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's no way of really knowing that through text that, that's their word. So at that point,
that's a good point,
Mr.
Them
just
Kaplan.
expressing themselves, right? And in this society, they're allowed to say that, which is okay, right? On paper, it's gonna look like they're just talking bad words, when in reality they're not.
So essentially, what you're saying, if I can sum it up correctly, is the machine will write down what they're saying, but there's no way to confirm if they're allowed to say what they're saying because the machine won't know.
Yeah.
I see. Mr. Goodman, any thoughts? Were you perhaps involved with this, being on the team a little longer than Geoff was?
No, they just informed me that it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have a say in whether they did it or not.
I see.
But I did voice my opinion in disliking it in general.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that being is, why are they restricting voice chat in this way? Because, and I say this with the assumption that if you say, just as Mr. Kaplan said, something that is used to in a group, and the robot that is processing your recorded voices hears that and you get banned, then is that considered wrong? I say it's restricting because people already have an issue with coming to voice chat if you're playing with randoms. If you record voice chat, it will just prevent people from coming to comms on a normal basis now.
I see. So you think people are going to be fearful now of going into game chat?
Exactly.
I see. I pretty much also have. I'm pretty aligned with the Jeffs here. I think this is a very dystopian approach to these things. Obviously, it's with good intentions. I'm not going to say it's with bad intentions, although knowing Blizzard, it definitely might be. Um, the problem with this sort of crosses a line of like, not only it goes into morally gray areas of, obviously they're going to say they're recording for this. Can we trust them? Because obviously Blizzard hasn't been too trustworthy in the past, especially around certain bottles of milk. But it begs the question: will this only be used the way they're using it? Number one, will they keep it? Number two, to have logs of players. Will they sell it to someone as data? Because now in the time we're at, all the big companies, the most valuable thing to them is data on other people, so they can figure out how to monetize us more. So, will they use it in other ways, basically? My big concern, though, that I haven't heard either of you say is, how accurate is this robot? From what I have heard about the news, this robot is supposed to transcribe things, right? Now, it might be a really good robot, but I don't think we're anywhere near being able to understand some of the quality of these garbage mics that people have in game chat when they're saying one thing and, you're just hearing like all the background noise and their families beating each other in the background. And what happens if, let's just say, the robot either transcribes incorrectly, which, at the end of the day isn't too bad, it transcribes it incorrectly, you can't really read it, or if it transcribes something that wasn't actually said, but it thinks that was. At that point, what happens? Can you appeal something like this? Will they show you why they banned you? Will they prove it? It goes into a whole slippery slope of, this shouldn't be something that's attached to a game. I personally think it goes past the line of like, it's becoming too Big Brother-esque. It makes people feel uncomfortable. Like Mr. Goodman said, now do I have to be scared of what I say in game chat because people the robot's gonna record me and send it to Blizzard and they'll know I might be like a secret like serial killer or rapist or something, or racist even. I'm not saying I'm any of those things. But, for instance, maybe some of the sick players in this game are. Especially with it being free to play. The net that's being cast on the population is wider now. Anyone can play. Before it was a $40 barrier to entry. Now it's a nothing barrier to entry. Aside from a phone. So, it's definitely a little scary and it crosses the line in my opinion. It's very, the problem is if they get away with doing it, other people might start doing it too. And I don't even know how this could be even solved with manpower, because obviously there needs to be manual review of this, I would hope, where if the robot dings you, oh, this guy said a bad word, will they hear the audio? Will they only go from the transcription? And will a real human be doing it? Because if the robot is doing it, and like I said, it messes up, you're going to have a lot of pissed off players that are getting banned when they didn't deserve to, and that's going to lead to a lot of negative PR and press, which Overwatch 2 does not particularly need right now. Do any of the Jeffs have any other opinions about this?
I would say I agree with everything you said.
I don't want to agree with this, this guy also, but I have to agree. So yeah, I agree with you, Tecnics. I agree.
Surprising, Mr. Kaplan.
Why is it surprising, Goodman?
Well, number one, you're a bitch. Number two,
let's keep it family friendly, please.
Number two, I apologize to.
Yeah, you better apologize.
Yo, shut up. Okay, so I'm surprised because you are usually the one to implement rules like this.
It's funny that you're putting the blame on me when you're the one who acts like a good man, when in reality you're one of the most restrictive people. I've heard what happened when I was gone. You power hungry fuck.
My goodness.
I would only be hungry for power if it was starved for me by someone like Mr. Kaplan.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I understand both you men are very busy. I thank you both for coming into this interview, giving your 2 cents on what.
I hope you don't invite this bitch again.
On what the current Overwatch team is doing. I hope everyone else enjoyed this, and hopefully we can get some of the Jeffs again for future interviews, if they're so willing and if their busy schedules allow us to. I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching.
Kids out there, Mr. Kaplan smells like caca.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.